Good evening. It is Monday, June 3rd, 2019 at 6 p.m. This meeting will be recorded live and is in the Neil Shapiro Center for Performing Arts in Winthrop High School. Ms. Hames, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Fabiano?
Here.
Mr. Matucci?
Here.
Ms. Powell?
Present.
Ms. Swope? Mr. Vecchia?
Present.
Mr. Perrin?
Here.
Mr. Capabianco?
Here. Mr. Matucci, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any public comment this evening? Mr. Malios.
Vasily Malios, 90 Pleasant Street. Good evening, members of the school committee. How do we want to continue to keep committed and dedicated teachers here in the Winthrop Public Schools? Many of you have stated as a priority to attract and retain dynamic and qualified teachers. What is attracting these dynamic and qualified teachers to Winthrop? Is it being underpaid? Is it the additional tasks without compensation that is asked of us? Is it the commute for those who live outside of Winthrop? Is it the threat that we see each year that the town cannot support the school's needs-based budget? Is it the denial of proposals that have no financial strain to the budget? These should be the reasons. But we teach here in Winthrop because of our love for this community and our dedication to our students. Have you had a chance to look at the Winthrop Public Schools seniority list? We have a school system more heavily weighted with new employees. For example, we currently have 130 employees who have been in the system for 5 years or less. Between the years 11 through 15, we currently have only 28 employees in the district. And between the years 21 to 25, there's only 15. We hire them, we train them, and then they leave. Teachers do not stay here in Winthrop. How are we supposed to explain to our colleagues the benefits of staying long-term in Winthrop, knowing the sacrifices that we continue to make year after year? We are faced with budgetary uncertainties at the end of each school year, and this has turned into the norm. When do we say that this is enough? We all enjoy being here in Winthrop, but the sacrifices continue to remain too high. In the next few years, I will be faced to make the decision of if it's possible to do both, live here and teach here. Our wages do not reflect the increase in the cost of living. My roots are here and my passion is with this town. However, if this continues, a decision will need to be made. I ask that you support the requests made by the teachers union as it will increase the morale and confidence of our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Mr. Sharkey, absolutely.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mariella Sharkey. I was at one time past school committee member and also proud president of the Winthrop Teachers Association, as well as being a proud member of the school committee. The reason I was contacted last night and asked if I would come tonight to support the Winthrop Teachers Association, which I'm very proud to do. I am asking that our school committee with our superintendent, that you at least give our members at least the bare minimum of what was given to them in this last contract, which, considering the percentages and 1% for 2 months in the summer, et cetera, come out to be about 3% a year. I don't believe that is anywhere near what is presently being offered. So I'm asking that that be given to our members, at least for them to do that. I know that, not to say anything against our superintendent, but I know that our superintendent is double the salary of what the average teacher's salary is in Winthrop, and deservedly so, as well as deservedly so of our teachers in the system. If we review any of the aspects of what's going on in the Boston public school system, one of the major issues besides percentages of increase in salaries, which is very important, but honestly, it is not the most important thing. But in Boston, they're asking for mental health counselors within each one of the buildings. And I'm not saying that's what, I don't know what was asked for in this contract today. But if we can think about those things, which are so vitally important for our children, I have to tell you is that I was very fortunate last week to be in the Fort Cummings. And I sat amongst a special needs teacher, the school psychologist, an OT, as well as the chairperson of special ed in the Fort. I can't tell you the magnificent job that they did in the testing and the reporting. We need to keep those people in Winthrop, and we will not be able to keep them in Winthrop. As we heard, is that 130 of our teachers or present employees are 5 years and below. We need to keep those people with us and stronger. I did very quickly look over some of the salary levels in the different districts in our area. And Winthrop, and I have to say, some of them were inconsistent because some contracts were settled and some have not been throughout these years, this present year. But Winthrop, according to the Department of Ed, is averaging around 72 to 73. All right, the Beverly is 74.5, Danvers is 80, Gloucester is 79, Malden 84, Medford 75, Swampscott 77, Salem 85, Revere 84, Peabody 79. Brockton, I just kind of fell through that one, is $89,000. So as we can see, we are not even near many of those salaries. And in order for us to keep, because I truly believe, I think I could see all the people that are sitting in front of me today that have children presently or have had children in our school system. And I believe every single one of the people in front of me that your children have become phenomenal Winthrop citizens and phenomenal people. And I think the majority of that is because of the people that you have sitting in front of you today. Thank you. Woo.
Thank you, Ms. Daphne. I know everyone here in the audience has similar sentiments. Is there any additional public comment? Ms. Reynolds?
Kristen Reynolds, 104 Johnson Ave. I'm the president of the Winthrop Teachers Association. And DJ Reset, our vice president, has just something that he'd like to give everybody on the board. I'm here today to ask you to encourage your bargaining team to come to the negotiating table ready to settle with the Winthrop Teachers Association. Winthrop teachers agreed to settle a one-year contract at this time last year, and the school committee agreed to begin negotiations in October, which we did. However, little progress has been made. Teachers are looking for changes in contract language in regards to the evaluation process, the teacher's schedule, workday, as well as a fair compensation package. We're looking to streamline the evaluation process to make it less cumbersome for both teachers and administrators, and also to align the teacher start and end times at all schools. Based on the average salary of the 52 lowest communities in the Commonwealth, Winthrop is one of those, and only 4 of them are located within 495. Of the 50 communities that have the top average salaries in the Commonwealth, all but 5 of them are inside 495. In the 5DP, which Winthrop teachers work a lot with the teachers in the 5DP, the average salary is $80,541.50. Winthrop's average salary is $66,950, which is a difference of $13,000 $591.50. In order to bridge that gap, it would require a 20% increase in salary. The result of this discrepancy in salaries is that we're not able to retain our teachers, as Vasily said. Teachers are coming to Winthrop, gaining 3 or 4 years of experience, and then moving on to communities where they can be compensated appropriately. The WTA is ready to settle, and we urge the school committee to come to an agreement with us.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Before I come, any additional public comment, because we would like to move on with the agenda. All right, if I could just say, I just want to thank everyone. Oh, one more, yes.
My name is Patricia Cuddy. I live at 69 Bellevue Avenue in Winthrop. I'm a teacher at the middle school. I teach reading. I just felt it would be maybe important to read this information. I took a course at the provided by the administration on differentiated instruction this year. It was a fabulous course on teaching strategies. And when they began that course, they give you quotes on a meta study of teaching practices, teaching experience, and they related it to, I just read it rather than go on about it. Based on a review of 30 studies published in the last 15 years that analyze the effect of teaching experience on student outcomes in the United States, that met our methodological criteria. Sorry, I'm having trouble speaking. Number 1, teaching experience is positively associated with student achievement gains throughout a teacher's career. Gains in teaching effectiveness associated with experience are most steep in the teacher's initial years, but continue to be significant as teachers reach the second and often third decades of their careers. 2, as teachers gain experience, the students not only learn more as measured by standardized tests, they are also more likely to do better on other measures of success, such as school attendance. 3, teachers' effectiveness increases at a greater rate when they teach in a supportive and collegial working environment and when they accumulate experience in the same grade level, subject, or district. More experienced teachers support greater student learning for their colleagues and school as a whole, as well as for their own students. When I speak to my colleagues, I've been with the school system for 9 years. I'm very happy working here. The first 7 years, I had a 2.5-hour commute from Hull every day. I have enjoyed all my time here, but I honestly, when I speak to my younger colleagues, I will say to them, you cannot stay in this system. You will not be paid enough. The ladder, once you get higher on that ladder, you can't leave the system and you're stuck in this situation. The salaries are a problem. It's a significant problem. I speak to administration and they'll often say to me that people leave because of a commute. I did 7 years of 2.5-hour commute, and I didn't leave because I was planning on moving from Hull anyway. It's not the commute, it's the salary. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
I just want to correct something that I said.
Yeah.
I had stated that Winthrop's average salary was $73. That's what I found online. When I went on the Department of Ed, I have to tell you, Winthrop was the only one that did not report what our average salary was. So in one area, on another, I did see 66. So I just want to clarify that so that we have the correct information sent out to our community and to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment?
Hi, Mary Dale Lucas, 87 Marshall Street, kindergarten teacher at the Winthrop Banks. I just wanted to touch base about one of the things that I think is very important, we all agree is very important in this contract negotiation, is not only the teachers getting their salary, but us being able to get what we need to help our students. Over the years, the world has changed, and our classrooms are becoming very different because of what's happening in the world. Our children are suffering quite a bit in an emotional way, and they're acting out, they don't know why. There's lots of different problems that we're now seeing. And I've worked in a school setting for many years. So it's frightening to me to see our little kindergartners come to school with so many worries and so many things before them so that they can't learn. So there's a really great need for, I think, adjustment counselors and that mental and emotional support that we need to have for our kids. If we can help them through an adjustment counselor or whatever type of service we can provide for them, we'll make their learning that much easier. One of my colleagues had said when we talked about this and the raises and the money for funding, she made a comment about how we had those bumper stickers on our cars that said Winthrop's worth it. Well, Winthrop is worth it. Our children are so important, and we need every penny and every minute of what we can give them. And we need our raises, we need our money to fund that support that they need. It's not just the material things, it's the emotional support that we need to provide them now. Thank you.
Any additional comment? I think it's important everyone has something to speak, but we do have an agenda, and I would like to go on with this. All right, so I will say this, it caught me off guard this evening that you folks are here, but I think that's a good thing. I see a lot of signs here that say, fund our future. You're right, we do need to fund our future. We do need to reform Chapter 70, a formula that hasn't been touched since 1993. This committee, we all voted to send a resolution to the State House saying we need to do that. We're with you. We're lucky that we have a council that past few years agreed to fund the school system beyond Chapter 70. It's something that has to be done. We have right now a charter school in New Bedford that is trying to receive funding through home rule petition, something that hasn't been done before. We have an education secretary nationally that doesn't support public education. There is a problem, okay? And we have to stick together on this. I can't comment currently on negotiations because that'll be in violation of open meeting law, but I hear you, I hear what you're saying, and let's see what we could do. Any comments from my colleagues? All right, Ms. Howard, any comments? All right, moving on with the meeting. All right, motion to approve the minutes of the May 6, 2019 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Swope. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Powell. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention.
There's two abstentions.
Two abstentions. And the motion is adopted. The minutes for the May 6, 2019 meeting are approved. Moving on to financial business and procedures. We have warrant SVW 19-9, the amount of $155,716.77, as well as warrant SVW 19-20 in the amount of $92,028.38. Do I have a motion to approve both warrants? Motion by President Vecchia, second by Mr. Matucci. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, and the motion is adopted. We have a few payroll warrants, warrant SPW 19-20 in the amount of $706,514.04. Payroll warrant SPW 19-21 in the amount of $4,792.08. And payroll warrant SPW 19-22 in the amount of $674,742.55. To have a motion to approve all three warrants. Motion by President Vecchia, second by Ms. Swope. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? And the motions are adopted. And we have a budget transfer in the amount of $674,732.55. Motion by Mr. Fabiano, second by Swope. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is adopted. That was a tongue twister. All right. Buildings and grounds requests. We have a request for the Women's Health Forum for Speaker DeLeo. That's an annual event he has every fall. All in favor of approving the buildings and ground request for Speaker DeLeo, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? That is approved. And we have a request for a summer rental for kids only. Mrs. Howard, would you like to speak on that?
Sure. For Kids Only is currently running at the Gorman Fort Bank School an after-school program module. They're there from 3 to 6 every day, 180 school days and some vacation days as well, April vacation, February vacation, and some of the Christmas break that we are not there. During the summertime, we have a lot going on at the Gorman Fort Bank School. We have Camp Fort that goes on, as well as some summer tutoring for our students with learning differences. So the amount of room and the amount of space we have at the fort to continue to allow for kids only to rent the space that they use, it isn't feasible in the summer given the number of programs we have. We need to keep upstairs, second floor, and third floor available for our custodians who spend the entire summer cleaning our classrooms, getting the floors redone, fixing things that need to be fixed, et cetera. So at this point, and last year as well, and I believe the year before that, there wasn't room for kids only to run or continue their summer programming. They're a year-round service for students, and based on the funding they receive, they have to be open certain hours, so beyond the school day. And in the summer, they have to be open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Last year, I believe they went to the E.B. Newton. They looked around town for an additional space. We did not have space. I don't believe they asked us beyond the Fort Bank School last year, beyond the Fort Banks and the Cummings, if we had any space. At the Cummings School, we have 21st Century, and we also run the majority of our summer programs, extended school year programs for our students with learning differences at the Cummings School. So there wasn't sufficient space to allow them to use the Cummings School, which would then also allow our custodial staff to do the good work that they do in the summer without interruption. So this year, I was approached by FKO, knowing that they did need space to continue for this year. They believe that next year they'll be all set because they are opening up a new facility of their own where they'll be able to house their own students in the community. They have purchased a piece of property that they are working on to have more space for themselves. So they've asked if we could allow them one classroom space for second graders, primarily first and second graders, for 6 weeks in the summer. So from the last day of school is on the 19th, so I believe they would start, I believe it's the 23rd or the 24th of June, and go Monday through Friday straight through the second week in August. And so they would vacate by August 17th. And they asked if they could make use of the preschool classroom at the high school for that period of time. So in speaking with Mr. Crombie as well as Ms. Pearson in terms of the need for the space and the size of the classroom, and also speaking with the folks from FKO regarding the limitations that we would have to place on them if they were to rent it. It's a little bit different in terms of the amount of room that they would have. We have our athletic teams that are in the gym in the summer, so there wouldn't be regular and consistent use of the gym. They wouldn't be able to use the cafeteria because we have programs running in that space, and the custodians use that space as they're moving furniture out of classrooms to do their cleaning. So that they would be confined to that preschool space with also the availability to go out, not on Miller Field, but on Veterans Field behind the school. 3 of the days of the week, they are on field trips for at least 50% of the day. So they were asking for a rental from 7 in the morning till 6 at night. The other issue or concern we had was our custodians. Their summer schedule is until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then the buildings are closed. So they would have to pay not only a rental fee, but an additional custodial fee, and based on the custodian's contract, it would be considered custodial overtime from 3 to 6 or 6:30 p.m. In looking at the history of the use from FKO, I felt that it was necessary to have school committee approval to extend the school year to them in another building at a different cost than what they would be paying now. So the cost that they're paying during the school year is based on a 3-hour day across 180 days, and we would have to adjust that at an hourly rate to reflect an 11-hour day for them, plus the custodial overtime. So I bring it to the school committee for consideration. Mr. Crombie and Mr. Serino both sat down with me looking at the space to determine whether or not it would be appropriate, and could we have them confined to just that space, not allowing use of other classrooms, just for a control, sort of a control issue, and it's a bigger building, and it's different size in terms of the classrooms, different materials in the rooms in terms of the classrooms here in this building. And FKO felt that they could utilize one space. They would need to utilize a second bathroom for code purposes. We have one small bathroom in that pre-K space that's within the confines of the classroom. Anybody over 28 inches tall is going to have some difficulty with the bathroom arrangements in there. So we did agree to give them access to an additional bathroom during those hours. So that's the background on that.
Do you have any questions about Ms. Matucci?
Just a quick, we do address any issues as far as damages to the building or the contents during this time. And I'd ask that we make sure that the site supervisor would be Mr. Crombie, go in and just to check and make sure prior to the, end of August, the middle of August, that if there are any issues, they get taken care of. This room needs to be in the exact condition it was in now,
Correct.
before the beginning of the school year,
Correct.
or sooner.
And currently there's no furniture in the classroom. We did move all the preschool furniture over to the Fort Bank School, so they would be either bringing their own furniture. It would have to be checked by Mikhail Filippo, who is our facilities manager, to make sure that it has the proper slides on the bottom of the chairs, and there would be no access to the smartboard on the wall, given the need for technology training in order to use that. Mr. Crombie was not willing to allow use of that smartboard, so that would be covered. They were fine to bring in a rolling television in the event that they were going to show a movie or do something educational on the TV. They would be willing to do that, and they would be willing to bring in their own small refrigerator for the lunches. About 44 students, but for the most part, half of them are outside, and the other half is inside, and 3 of the days, as I said, they're on field trips for the majority of the day.
Ms. Parent, you have a question?
I had a couple of comments. This is kind of a long-term rental. It's not so much a use of space. I think going forward, we need to go back to the policy committee and look for a more comprehensive agreement for something that goes that long. And also, I'd like to make sure that we have an insurance binder
Through
for a
that.
minimum of $1 million per occurrence. And
So we did discuss that. I let them know that today after doing a little more research on some of their requests. They're aware that this is being brought to the school committee for approval, and there may be additional questions coming back. I also provided them with the hourly rate topic, and they were asking for, what is the fee going to be? So we were looking at the hourly rate. That didn't go over so well today. So more conversation regarding that to come. They were very understanding of the custodial overtime rate that we quoted them, which is just contractual for our custodians.
so, I mean, do we approve? I don't know if we can approve this without having a rate set.
Right, so, because we gave them the information today on what it may look like hourly, as I was walking through the door, it didn't sound as though they felt they were on the same page as us. So I'm gonna have a small conversation, probably with the director herself tomorrow, and clear up any of that miscommunication or misunderstanding of the hourly rate. It's pretty much how we've run for Kids Only in terms of a daily rate, which breaks down into an hourly rate. So I'll follow back up with her tomorrow, and we can bring it to the next meeting if need be. Next meeting, however, would be beyond the date that they would like to start, but I could ask for a special meeting ahead of time if need be.
And as we do this, I just want to make sure that we have some type of addendum that spells out what space is used and,
Correct.
what the
Mr.
cost
Crombie
would
had
be for the
drafted
different.
that. Mr. Crombie had drafted that already
Okay.
for discussion purposes, so we have that already drafted.
Make a motion to table the request.
There's a motion to table the request by Mr. Parent, by Ms. Matucci. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by President Vecchia. Any further discussion on the motion?
When do, When do they start, Lisa? When do they want
It
to
says
start?
it right on the flyer.
June 17th.
June
I think
17th?
it's the 24th of June.
17th,
It says June 17th
Say it again?
June 17th.
17th.
Yeah,
on the request.
say it, on the request, it says 17th, I think
That's
they,
what it says.
yeah, so the 17th, we're still in school, so they know they can't have it then, so they would have to start the following Monday, which would be the Monday after.
Are parents
we get out on the
expecting them
19th.
to start that following Monday, too?
I'm sorry?
Others are expecting them to start on that following Monday, is that right?
I didn't hear the first part, I apologize.
Others are expecting them to start on the following Monday.
So there's been no agreement, it's been at the discussion
That's not
level
advertised yet.
in terms of when we could provide them the opportunity to do so. I needed to, before I brought it to the committee, needed to make sure with the principal that he was feeling comfortable and didn't have that space earmarked in those certain weeks. I think originally the request was through the end of August, which we could not accommodate because that room, when need be, will need to be cleaned out, and it doesn't give the custodians enough time to do anything. If the building is occupied from pretty much the last day of school till school opens, it wouldn't
Chairman.
be feasible.
Ms. Masucci.
Do we have another meeting this month?
June 17th, I
Yes,
apologize, we do.
it should be,
So that,
should have time.
okay.
And that room's pretty much ready to go. I mean, It's
Yeah.
not, it's moving condition.
And if I
It is.
may, my one question is, it's my hope and anticipation that in the near future, Little Vikings is back in that room, and I want to know what the effects, if any, this would have on that. I know this over the
So
summer.
could you just restate the question for me, because I guess I missed the first part of your question.
It's my hope and anticipation that at some point in the near future, Little Vikings will be back at the high school.
That's the plan in the needs-based budget,
If
is
this will
to
have
move the
any
program back.
effect whatsoever.
Little Vikings.
Will it
Little Vikings,
have any
the
effect of them
preschool.
being there
Yes.
on moving,
For kids only in that
opening up the
area.
preschool classroom at the high school? Absolutely not. That's
Absolutely
why
not.
we wouldn't
Okay.
let them go through August.
Gotcha.
In the event that we were able to fund the program
That's all I
for the
need to hear.
fall, that was the plan.
Okay, perfect.
And you said there's 44 students?
When I spoke with the director, she said approximately 44 students and 3 staff, 3 full-time staff members and 2 rotating staff members, I believe. I'd have to go back and look at my notes.
Okay.
So there is a
And they have a
motion,
supervisor on site.
all right, so there is a motion on the table to table this request till the June 17th meeting. All in favor of that request, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? The ayes have it, motion is adopted. Subcommittee reports, Ms. Powell?
Subcommittee met tonight. We discussed 2 policies, both of which will be brought to the full committee at the next meeting. The first is a meal charge policy. This is to put into place the practice, which is to provide children with a balanced lunch, regardless of, even if they have a negative balance on their account. However, it is of limited choice. And the point of this is that we have a number of families who are not paying their bills, and at the end of the year, we need to make up that money. So our hope is that we are encouraging parents. This does not affect children who are a low income or who get free or reduced meal lunches. This is parents who are not paying for they're not on that program.
And if they are eligible, they do have the ability to apply
Correct.
and be granted the free and reduced lunch.
Correct, and they are given numerous reminders to ensure that they know that the bill is, that they haven't paid. So that full policy will be presented.
And if I may, Ms. Powell?
Yes.
The development of the policy was based on an audit that we had done by Mass School Lunch group that comes out and looks at our policies, looks at how we're conducting our lunches, looks at how we're serving our lunches, how we're collecting fees, what are we charging. And we have a school lunch policy in place, but this meal charge policy was something that we hadn't had in our policy handbook, and it's mandatory to have one. So this is not coming from any occurrence that has happened in any school or any history of late payments or non-payments. It is merely based on the audit having to have that actual policy in our policy handbook. And although we have a policy, we were missing this piece of the policy, so we're right-sizing the policy handbook and adding this. And we did look at several other schools to see what their meal policy was, and this particular policy is pretty identical in just about every school that we looked at. And the audit has also referred us to different schools to look at their policies, just to get a canned policy. and make sure it was consistent with other schools.
Right. And then the other policy that we're going to be implementing is re-registration policy. Currently, students are required to register when they come in at kindergarten, and then after that, there is no follow-up. And although we have the ability to investigate their residency, it's done on a case-by-case basis, and we would like to make it more systematic so that parents will be invited to come in and re-register at grades 3, 6, and 9. And it'll be, this will be an opportunity both to verify the residency and also to reconnect with parents.
So we do have a registration policy for students moving into the district, so new students that come into the district after kindergarten do have to still register their students for school. We have tightened up the registration policy, as I'm sure you've heard me speak ad nauseum of, in terms of really having major consideration for our teachers and class size, making sure that our students, we no longer have school choice. We did for a while, and therefore, I believe folks felt as though if we had school choice before, we must still have it. So we were receiving students who did not necessarily live in the community. And there's been a lot of time and effort on the parts of the teaching staff, the principals, the administration, the central office staff, to ensure that we are following our registration policy. And in doing a lot of that research, I've had the opportunity to speak to a number of residency officers in the Commonwealth, and several times was asked, do you have a policy of re-registration at any point? And in thinking about our school district being so small, and our students leaving the Fort Bank School to go to the Cummings, then leaving the Cummings to come to the middle school, and then walking down the high school to the high school corridor after 8th grade. There never really is another opportunity after that initial registration for school for us to ask parents if they still live here. And I guess if I were to move out of town and my 8th grader was happy and typically middle school-like, I would not want to upset that apple cart of my child. So if nobody were to ask me, I don't know that I would necessarily say I left Plummer Avenue and now I live in Revere. So we felt it necessary for a whole host of reasons. Budgetary reasons are a big one, to make sure we're utilizing the money that we have in the most efficient way. So if we had parents do a modified re-registration, which is not as intense as a full registration, it's coming up with a copy of your most current bill that relates to the address you live in, a copy of your license. That would ensure that we know that even if you did move in Winthrop, we now have your correct address, gives us another opportunity to get correct email addresses. We're hoping that the majority of it can be done electronically, with the exception of the actual proof of residency, such as a mortgage or a rental agreement, and some other documents would be able to be uploaded. I think it puts some more validity to our residency requirement, and it allows us to keep our records up to date, and also advise parents about residency law and help them reestablish their child in another school district if they do not live here. And that was the purpose behind, our policy does not have anything about re-registration in it, and we would now be asking parents, as you move from one building to another, to re-register your child in a modified way. And I'm the registration point, so they'll be chatting with me and perhaps some other volunteers from central office. We'll be working with the parents to make sure we can get that done.
Superintendent's report?
You don't have to do anything else with that?
No, we'll bring those to the next committee for vote.
Okay, is that the only, no more policies, right? No. Okay. Superintendent's report. So I'm sure folks have seen a lot of activity. I'm going to start with the seniors. We had lots of senior activities last week. Last week is sort of a blur to me because it was 24/7, just going, and watching our kids do some great things. So the prom was awesome. We had a promenade here. Everybody looked wonderful. We had a little glitch with transportation, but Skip to the rescue came, and Skip Calley helped us out by transporting some of our students to the prom because we had a little bit of a shortage on the bus itself. But the students all made it to the prom at the Danvers-Port Yacht Club. I was able to show up there partway through the night, and it was amazing to see all the kids up dancing, enjoying themselves. Nobody was left out. It was one of the most inclusive proms I've seen in a while, and it was true inclusion. There was no fake interacting with other students that you wouldn't normally interact with. It was one big party, and it was extremely fun and uneventful in any way that wasn't positive throughout the night. So kudos to all of those who were involved and all the volunteers and teaching staff and school support staff that showed up to support our students. We had a senior awards night, which was very well attended. Great awards being given out. The kids were extremely happy. I can tell you that in terms of the community giving back to the school system, in terms of money for scholarships for our students, the total amount of scholarships that we have given out to the senior class this year was a total of $330,822.22 worth of awards. That's a lot of money. $209,000 of that was the Facella Scholarship Awards that were given out on graduation day. Also on graduation night, $73,422.22 worth of awards. And at class night, $48,400 worth of all very well-deserved scholarships. So that was another fun and exciting night for our students. College acceptances. So you hear a lot about where kids are going. Our kids are, and I'm going to use this term, and I'm not using it loosely because I actually love it, our kids are wicked smart. And I'm going to tell you they're wicked smart because some of them have made decisions to go to colleges that you apply to colleges, you might apply to 5, you might get into all 5. And some of our students chose colleges that were going to allow them to pay back the least amount of money and may have a different tag to the name, and it might have been a little bit more cool to go to this college than the one you're attending. But as I said, being wicked smart, a lot of our students had chosen a different opportunity for themselves. And I always felt like that took away from where kids actually got into. I think it's nice to know where kids are going, but where did our kids get into? And, you know, we know how they're getting in there, and you're looking at how they're getting in there as well as their parents at home. We don't get to senior year and get into the schools, and I am going to read quite a few of them, and if you can bear with me, I'm not going to do the whole list, but I'm going to hit on quite a few. You don't wake up your senior year and say, okay, yep, I'm wicked smart, and this just happened overnight. It's 12 to 13 years of support and education and dedication of parents, teachers, and support services in the community that get our kids there. The majority, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say the majority of our kids have been here since kindergarten. I watched Eileen Pearson's face, so did Patty, during graduation practice. Some of these kids she hadn't seen since kindergarten, maybe at the end of 2nd grade. And to see that they're now young adults getting ready to take off and complete their future, when she was helping them not run out in front of cars and tie their shoes, and the staff in her building was teaching toileting and all kinds of other stuff. And now here we are going to, and I want, you guys have the list in front of you, which is not exhaustive. There's a few that have been left off of this, but we'll make sure we get you the final. But bear with me for a second, and this is for the community as well. This is where Winthrop Public Schools kids, little Winthrop, but you don't go to Winthrop if you don't have to, because you can't drive through here unless you're going swimming. There's no place else to go. All taught by the teachers sitting in front of you, and many of those who have been before you and will come after you. MIT, Harvard, Dartmouth, Columbia, Tufts, Sacred Heart, Salem State, Merrimack, UMass Boston, UMass Amherst, UMass Lowell, University of Delaware, Wheaton, Newmount College of Computer Science, Wentworth Institute of Technology, Bryant, Stonehill, West Virginia University, Suffolk, Syracuse, University of Alabama, Mass College of Art, UNH, Framingham State, Southern New Hampshire University, Penn State, Emmanuel College, Plymouth State, North Shore Community, Bunker Hill, University of Maine, Assumption, Curry College, Marquette University, Connecticut College, Marymount Manhattan, Pace University, Westfield State, URI, Worcester Polytech, Point Park University, Bridgewater State University, Endicott College, Roger Williams College, Colby Sawyer College, Worcester State University, Hamilton College, Bentley University, Brandeis University, Boston University, Northeastern University, New England College, Keene State, Quinnipiac University, University of Vermont, Simmons University, Lesley University. Said I wasn't going to keep going, but I am. American International College, University of Colorado, Clark University, Emerson College, MCPHS, New Hampshire Institute of Art, Loyola University, Johnson & Wales, Regis College, Pacific Northwest College of Art, University of Mississippi, Dean College, Champlain College, Fairfield University, University of Missouri, or Missouri, however you say that, where's Mary Alice, she would correct me, Salve Regina University, St. Anselm's, Georgia Southern, Empire Beauty School, Fisher College, Coastal Carolina, Emerson College, Norwich University, Indiana University, Liberty University, Roxbury Community College, Ben Franklin University, Colorado State University, Broadway School of Dance, Anna Maria College, Bernard College of Columbia, Case Western. Of those colleges, I can tell you that when I Googled, because that's what I've been trained to do by my 10-year-old, 11-year-old, I think he's 12 now, but my son, those are some of the top colleges according to Forbes magazine. Many of top colleges according to Forbes magazine. Little Winthrop, place that you really don't go to unless you're going to go swimming or go sailing. In a community where we struggle to keep teachers, and that's a known. Just look at the number of teachers we have that are, and believe me, I created that list, so I know what the balance is in a scattergram that I never knew even existed. I now know it exists. This is Winthrop. And this is where our kids are getting into college. And it is because of our teachers, and it is because of our community, and it is because of our families. The support that is necessary to continue to do this is definitely reflected in the needs-based budget that we presented as a school system, not as a superintendent of schools, not as a principal, not as solely as a school committee, but as a school system of teachers that sat down and looked at what we had and what we need to move forward. And we're in the midst of negotiations, as these folks have told you, and we're working on that. Our students continue to do well despite the difficulties that we're having. We'd like to continue to do well with less difficulties, and that is our plan. I'm very proud of our kids. Listening to Matt Crombie's speech, I didn't read it ahead of time. We usually pregame, and I read his and he reads mine, and we rag on each other a little bit, and then we fix it and we make it shorter so we don't bore people at graduation, because they're really not there for us. That was one of the best speeches I've heard and the best approaches I've seen in a while. He had the kids sitting on the edge of their seats and they were listening to him because his speech was about them, which is what graduation was really about. These kids are taking the next step in their future, and they set the bar for the kids behind them. The walk through the elementary schools, I know that some of the folks on the school committee are able to see that. Certainly everyone in this audience, not only do you get to see it, you get to experience it. Tell me you didn't cry, because I'm going to tell you you're not telling the truth if you cried for 3 days. However, that type of an experience that invigorates and motivates kids to want to stay here in our community and to want to continue is something special. I could go on for days about the last week because there have been so many events. But our kids have done a great job, and it's because, like I said, of the teachers and the families that we have. A couple of more little items that I have. As you know, the solar panel project on the roof is continuing with Select. They delivered all their heavy things to the roof. Mikhail Filippo and Rich Safuni had organized that and have been on top of it from the get-go. We had some concerns about them working during MCAS, both at the middle school and high school level, and we rectified that through good communication, making sure they weren't disrupting our students. Our Charlie Pass program for students who need access to Charlie cards, that is ending at the end of the school year, and the cards will be wiped out. We've notified the parents that they won't be able to use any funds that are left on that card, so that they needed to use those funds up and then restart their cards at a discounted rate for the next school year, so they're able to access public transportation at a lesser rate. I thank the guidance office at the high school and the middle school staff for being able to continue to coordinate that, because it gives our students an opportunity to take public transportation at a less rate. So our Summer Leadership Academy with the principals and assistant principals and ETLs and all administrators will be held the week of July 22nd. Our focus this summer is going to be on updating the strategic initiatives, reviewing all the progress that the buildings have made on the priorities of this year's strategic initiatives. We're going to be looking at Tier 1 and Tier 2 crisis response training. More to come on that later, but it's the crisis response teams that we put together, and we will be working with Riverside Trauma Center in order to do that, and the funding for that program is coming through a grant with the police department, where they have graciously provided us with money that will not be coming out of the school's budget to effectively train our upper level administration, but then moving it down to our school adjustment counselors, guidance counselors, and nurses on recognizing the signs of trauma in some of our students and how do we address that. Riverside Trauma Center will also, through that same funding, be working with myself and the Executive Director of Curriculum, Lori Gallivan, to roll out a plan for suicide identification and prevention and traumatized children recognition and prevention, working with our teaching staff, as well as offering it to parents, which seems to be the one piece that we need to connect our triangle of support services for our students. So the funding is available to do so, finding the time to do that, along with the other initiatives that we have with a lot of our curriculum changing. We're looking at doing some summer work and being able to pay our staff, teachers, as well as guidance counselors to come in over the summer to do some of that good work. We will also be looking at starting our discussion on planning for my walks with the principals during the school year on educational equity topics, looking at educational equity across the district, and my working with the principals on that. And I believe for tonight, that is all that I have.
No personnel.
Personnel, no, I have personnel, but that was my superintendent's report. So for quick last update that I just left out, total enrollment for June. I think it's important I do the total enrollment by grade once a month, and taking a look at class size and seeing how many students we have. As of June, we have, including the seniors, 2,008 students in the Winthrop Public Schools, which is up from 1,997 in I want to say April, but down from well over, I believe, 220 in September. So we've had over 74 students move into the district over the school year, and we've had 48 students in total that have been, we've had to re-identify their living situation, and they have begun attending the school in which community that they live. It's a pretty big number, 75 students, 74 students that have entered the district, so our numbers are growing. In terms of personnel, we have no appointments as of today. Resignations, we have a special education teacher at the Arthur T. Cummings, a grade 7 science teacher at the middle school, and an ELA teacher at Winthrop High School. We do not have any retirements. We have not had any retirements made known to us this school year, which is, again, repeating myself, but that is not typical. Typically, you have 2 or 3 retirements in a year. We have none. And for postings, we have posted the Winthrop Middle School science teacher, a long-term ESP sub at Winthrop High School. We have posted the Winthrop Middle School summer next school year stipend positions, and we've also posted Winthrop Middle School summer school teachers for ELA and math. Mr. Curley will be putting together a summer school program, fee for service, a tuition-based summer school program for students who need ELA or math over the summer in order to transition to the high school. Leave of absence at this point, we have none.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. New business, we do have some citations that I would like to make a motion to approve, so they are recognized as part of the official minutes. They are for the Arthur T. Cummings School in collaboration with the Winthrop Elks. They are for the What the Flag of the United States Means to Me essay contest. So I'd like to make a motion to approve those 3 citations.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by President Vecchia. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted and the citations are approved. Any additional public comment? All right.
I forgot,
Oh,
I forgot new business, under new business, the school
I thought we weren't ready for
lunch
a
price
vote.
increase, right?
That's different.
Oh, it's,
So, yeah, so this is under new business.
Sorry.
that's okay.
Yep.
All right. Would you like to speak on that?
That's not me,
Ms. Howard, would you
that's-
like to speak
So
on
I'm gonna let Susan, this is the lunch
That's okay.
increase, the price,
Sorry.
maybe just go through that we haven't
Yep.
increased it.
We were, during the audit we had from the Department of Ed, we were notified that we weren't charging the correct amount for our lunches. So over the next 2 years, we have to go up 50 cents, so we're gonna go up 25 across the board this coming school year, and then another 25 the following school year. They give us a calculator to figure out what the lunch rate should be that we charge, and we were a little, by 5 cents or so below, but we need to raise it for next year.
Does this have any effect on free and reduced lunch students?
No.
Can you comment on how the lunch program is doing in terms of funding itself? Are we,
It does fund itself right now. What we would like to do is we would like to have a little bit more money than just breaking even so that we can buy new equipment when we need to. So the Department of Ed wants that program to be self-sustaining.
okay.
So we have to, make sure we get paid for all the lunches and increase the lunch rate.
So I think, and it's important to note that, state law doesn't allow us at the end of the school year to say, oops, we didn't collect all the money, and then if a parent doesn't pay by the end of the school year, it comes out of the school's budget, so you can't just be in the red. You have to be able to right-size that. The principals do a great job with working with our parents. We like to do it one-to-one. We do send out those letters. It's important to send the letters out, one, because it's part of what the Department of Education says you have to do, but secondarily, it allows our principals also to reach out to parents and say, hey, is there a concern? Did you have a change, in anything going on at home? Is there anything that you need us to do for you in terms of filling out a free and reduced lunch, form, or, is there anything we need to do to help you in terms of making sure you get that debt paid? And there are times where parents just can't pay it. And so the school district's budget then has to supplement that money to close that out. But the consistent reminders of parents, I think I've told the story before, the letters that get generated from my office, and they're a canned letter that goes out based on our updating of the system every day, but pretty much weekly. And I mailed myself a letter, and I opened my mail, and there was a letter from me to me, because my kid owed like $11 in lunch. I send a lunch every day, but clearly he's taking care of the world. And I didn't know that I was under until I got the app, which I had to have somebody download on my phone for me. But now I have the My School Bucks app. So although people are getting those letters and getting annoyed with them, it is a form of communication. We do also call the parents. We don't just send a letter. I don't find the letter to be threatening. We actually cleaned it up a little bit to let people know that when you do have a balance that you owe, they do not stop your child from getting a lunch. Your child receives a lunch, and I think folks felt as though we were giving just a cheese sandwich. By the way, a lot of kids like cheese sandwiches, but we don't just give the cheese sandwich, one slice of cheese and 2 pieces of white bread and send the child on their way. They also get everything else that goes with the lunch to balance the lunch. There are some kids that prefer a cheese sandwich, and that's okay too. But I think there was some rumor out there that we were just handing you, maybe even without a tray, we're just gonna give you 2 pieces of bread and a piece of cheese. It really doesn't work that way. We would hope that parents are comfortable enough to call us to say, hey, gee, my child's telling me they're only getting a cheese sandwich. And then we say, oh, we sent you a letter, did you not get it, or do you need some support around that? So It's not as mean as the letter and the cheese sandwich sound, just so you know, because I sent one to myself, so.
Need to approve this? Need approval?
We need approval on raising it, and we wanted to do it over a 2-year time frame so as not to be dramatic.
Can we make it that we do this every 2 years to make sure that we stay in compliance with DESE?
That would be helpful
DESE?
with my memory.
Mr. Perrin would like to make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
So, a motion by Mr. Perrin, do we have a second?
Second.
What's the motion?
That on at least a yearly basis, or every 2 years that we,
Accept this memorandum first, and then
uh,
that. Go ahead.
I was gonna be a part of that. I'll make a motion that we accept the memorandum as written, and that on a, at least a biannual basis, that we check it to make sure that we're in compliance with the audit results
We do that yearly.
yearly, but that we raise it.
But you wanted to tie it.
So that it automatically raises, we don't have to come back and vote it every time that it goes up based
rate will
upon
be
what the
permanently
state's
tied.
requirements are.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's a motion by Mr. Perrin.
So automatically go up? We wouldn't check?
We check through the state, and what the state
Okay.
tells us what our
So we're in
bottom,
compliance.
Right, so we're not necessarily going up a quarter every year?
Yeah, we're
No.
not,
Based
yeah, yeah,
on-
on what
It's
the
not
state
like a
requires.
Yeah, to make sure we're in compliance. So motion by Mr. Perrin, second by Mr. Matucci. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion is adopted. All right. Any additional public comment? All right, public relations, President Vecchia.
I just want to give congratulations to Mr. Crombie and all the staff for graduation, as well as the awards, excuse me, awards breakfast. It was really terrific. This is the second year I've been there, and it's well organized, it's well presented. It was a full house at graduation. That was a pretty exciting time, and I know how much the parents were thrilled with it, as well as the kids. So congratulations, Lisa. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to Mrs. Pearson. It's funny when you go to both ends. When you're with a kindergartner, a kindergartner for next year, and you see them coming into the system, and then you see all these kids graduating, it's pretty.
I believe next year will be her first kindergarten class to go all the way through. Am I right with that? I do retain something, so
Good.
I
Yeah,
believe that will be the
it
next
was
one.
great
So
fun.
she's probably gonna bring balloons and maracas, I'm assuming.
That's it.
All set.
This Saturday morning, the class of 2020 will be having a bake sale at French Square.
I want to congratulate Ms. Daniel for making an excellent presentation on her STEM program at the 5-district meeting that was held here in the school. It was exciting to see the progress that they've been able to make and what they're doing in the schools.
And
And
I'm gonna
to be able
send, I'm gonna send the video out, the short clip out, so that people can see that. And then just one more reminder, this Saturday is the Special Olympics at Miller Field. So anyone who wants to come down, it's one of the most amazing summer, Olympic tournaments, if we can call it that you'll get to see. This year we'll also be honoring Michael Delahanty, who is a key person involved in the orchestration of the Special Olympics for many, many years. So I think it will be exciting. I believe our band is going to play. I believe, that's last time I checked, our band would be leading our athletes out. So it starts at 9, Mrs. Sonaro? 9 o'clock? Starts at 9 o'clock at Miller, 10? Like I said, it starts at 10. That's why I always check. Starts at 10. I'll be there at 9, because it's fun. It starts at 10 o'clock, so even if you have something to do, come down. You'll leave there with a big smile on your face. And it's just really, every year, it's an amazing, amazing event. So try to come.
Motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Matucci, second by Ms. Swope. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the ayes have it.